Welcome, Deep Diver. Today, we're jumping into something really fundamental, just fascinating. How our minds actually work.
Yeah, why we sometimes make these, judgment errors and what all this amazing research tells us about decisions, thinking,
Hmm.
even happiness.
Exactly. And our main source today is A Giant in the Field, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Just a monumental book, really. Nobel laureate.
It really is. And our goal, our mission here is to pull out the absolute key insights from Kahneman's work.
Make it clear, make it relatable.
Right. So you can get a much better handle on your own thinking and maybe, just maybe, improve some of those decisions you make day to day.
So think about this.
Mm.
Have you ever just acted on instinct? Like a snap decision.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times, you're like painstakingly analyzing everything, every pro, every con.
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe a choice just feels right, even if the data seems to point the other way.
Yeah.
Well, those are the kinds of mysteries we're going to unpack right now, starting with how your brain actually juggles these different ways of thinking. Okay, so let's kick things off with Kahneman's really foundational idea
Yeah.
that our minds aren't just running on one single track.
Right. He says we have two distinct systems. Think of them like two gears your brain can shift into, system 1 and system 2.
System 1 and System 2. Got it.
So system 1, that's your brain's fast, intuitive kind of autopilot mode. It's automatic. It takes almost zero effort. You don't consciously control it.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Like instantly knowing one object is further away than another.
Right.
Or, finishing the phrase bread and...
Butter.
Exactly. Or even just driving smoothly on an empty road once you're experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding simple sentences. That's all system 1 just working away in the background. Effortless.
Okay, effortless. And then the contrast is System 2.
Exactly. System 2 is the deliberate, effortful, manual mode. This is what kicks in when you need to really focus your attention.
The hard stuff.
Yeah, the mentally demanding activities, complex calculations, so like bracing for the starter gun in a race,
Mm-hmm.
or carefully checking a complex logical argument step by step, or trying to parallel park in a really tight space.
Mm-hmm.
That takes System 2 power. It demands focus.
Right. You can feel your brain working harder then.
Totally. And what's really, really crucial here is how they interact. Kahneman talks about us having a lazy System 2.
A lazy System 2.
Yeah, meaning your deliberate thinking mind. Sometimes it just kind of accepts the quick answers and shortcuts that System 1 throws up. It rubber stamps them without checking too closely.
Ah, I see. So it's efficient, but maybe not always accurate.
Precisely. It often works perfectly fine. That's why it's efficient. But this is also where a lot of our biases creep in and where sometimes quite serious errors can happen. System 1 gives you a quick answer.
But System 2 is supposed to be the fact checker.
Exactly. It needs to check if that quick answer actually makes sense in this situation.
That lazy System 2 idea. Wow. That's kind of humbling when you think about it. Makes you wonder how often I let System 1 just run things.
Oh, all the time. The more you think about it, the more you notice. It's almost constant.
Yeah. It's like you have to consciously engage System 2 sometime.
We really do.
Okay, so speaking of System 1 and its speed,
Yeah.
that efficiency leads to these mental shortcuts, right? Heuristics.
That's the term, yeah, heuristics. And they're useful most of the time, but they can definitely trip us up.
Okay, so what's a big one?
Well, a classic is anchoring. This is fascinating. Basically, any number you're exposed to beforehand can heavily influence your later answers or estimates, even if the number is totally random.
Really? How does that work?
Kahneman did this great experiment. They had people spin a wheel of fortune, right? But it was rigged to land on either 10 or 65.
Okay.
Then they asked participants 2 questions. Is the percentage of African nations in the UN higher or lower than that number? And then, what's your best guess of the actual percentage?
And what happened?
The results were striking. The people who saw the number 10, their average guess for the percentage was way lower, like 25%. The people who saw 65, their average guess was much higher, around 45%.
Wow. Just from seeing a random number first.
Exactly. Your brain kind of latches onto that first piece of information, that anchor, and doesn't adjust far enough away from it. Crazy, right?
That is crazy. It's like your brain's playing tricks on itself. Which kind of leads into another one you mentioned, the availability heuristic.
Availability. This is all about how easily examples come to mind. We judge how frequent or likely something is based purely on how easy it is to think of an instance.
Okay, makes sense. Like the K-words thing.
Yeah, the classic K-words experiment. Ask people, are there more English words that start with K or more words that have K as the third letter?
I'd probably guess start with K. Easier to think of king, kite, No.
Right. Most people do. But statistically, there are actually way more words with K as the third letter. Ask, bake, like.
Yeah.
It's just harder for System 1 to retrieve those quickly.
So ease of recall equals perceived frequency.
Exactly. You see this dramatically after, say, a big plane crash gets tons of media coverage.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly everyone's afraid of flying.
Right. People overestimate the risk of plane crashes, even though the actual statistical probability hasn't changed one bit. It's just very available in their minds. Kahneman put it nicely. The ease with which instances come to mind is a heuristic, which generally works well, except when it does not.
Except when it leads you astray. Got it.
And this ease of recall, this availability, often fuels another bias, substitution.
Substitution, what's that about?
It's when System 1 gets a difficult question, finds it too hard to answer quickly, and so it subtly swaps it for an easier related question and answers that instead, without you even noticing.
Whoa. Okay. Give me an example.
Kahneman uses this one. Ask someone, how happy are you with your life as a whole? That's a genuinely complex, difficult question to answer accurately, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you even start?
Exactly. So System 1 might just substitute it with, what's my mood right now? That's much easier to answer.
Ah, so you answer the mood question, but you think you're answering the life satisfaction question.
Precisely. You get a quick, easy answer, but maybe not to the question you're actually asked.
Man, these really make you stop and think. I could definitely see myself falling into these traps. Can you recall times you've caught yourself doing this?
Oh, for sure. Once you know about them, you start seeing them everywhere. Anchoring in negotiations, availability when thinking about risks. It's constant.
Okay, so we've got System 1 making these fast judgments, leading to heuristics like anchoring and availability, sometimes substitution. But what about when System 1 gets maybe too sure of itself? Overconfidence.
Yeah, Kahneman talks a lot about overconfidence. A key idea here is something he calls WYSIT.
WYSIAT, what's that stand for?
What you see is all there is.
Okay, what you see is all there is.
It's this tendency our minds have to build a coherent story based only on the information currently active in our minds, the stuff that's easily available.
And ignore everything else.
And basically ignore our own ignorance. We don't account for the information we don't have. So we become overly confident in the judgments we make based on that limited available information.
That sounds dangerous.
It can be. It leads to errors. Kahneman gives this example from his time working with the Israeli military. They used interviews to predict leadership potential in soldiers.
Standard practice sounds like.
Right. But the objective data, the statistics, consistently showed these interviews were actually terrible predictors of future performance. They just weren't reliable.
But the interviewers felt confident.
Extremely confident. They felt they got a real sense of the candidate. They built a compelling story in their minds based on the interviewed WYSIAT. Even faced with the stats showing the interviews didn't work, they persisted in their confidence. Their gut feeling, based on limited info, overruled the broader evidence.
Wow. That's a really powerful illustration of WYSIAT. And it makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? Where am I being overconfident just based on what I think I know, the story I'm telling myself?
Exactly. It's a tough question to ask, but a really important one.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Kahneman didn't just analyze how we think. He revolutionized how we understand choices, especially challenging that old economic idea of the purely rational agent.
Oh, absolutely. With prospect theory. This was a huge deal, part of why he won the Nobel.
So what's the core idea of prospect theory?
Fundamentally, it shows that we value gains and losses very, very differently. The emotional impact is asymmetrical.
How so?
The pain of a loss feels much stronger, much more intense than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Kahneman puts it simply. Losses loom larger than gains.
Losses loom larger than gains.
Okay.
Think about it. How would you feel about losing $100?
Pretty bad. Annoyed, frustrated.
Right. Now, how would you feel about unexpectedly gaining $100?
Pretty good. Happy. Okay. But Kahneman argues, and experiments show, that the negative feeling from losing the $100 is significantly more powerful than the positive feeling from gaining it. He calls this loss aversion. We're basically wired to avoid losses more strongly than we're driven to achieve gains.
That makes intuitive sense, actually.
Yeah, and he uses this simple coin toss gamble to illustrate it. Imagine I offer you a bet. Heads, you win $150. Tails, you lose $100. Would you take it?
Win $150, lose $100. 50-50 chance. Logically, the potential gain is bigger. but losing $100 feels risky.
Hi.
I'd probably hesitate, maybe say no.
Most people do say no, even though the expected value is positive. That potential pain of losing $100 just outweighs the potential pleasure of gaining $150 for most of us. That's loss aversion in action.
Fascinating. And does this tie into how things are presented to us?
Directly, this leads straight into framing effects. The idea is that how you frame a choice, how you present the options, dramatically affects the decision people make, even if the underlying facts are identical.
Okay, like the medical example.
Exactly the one. Imagine a serious disease and two treatment options. If you tell people treatment A has a 90% survival rate, most people prefer it.
That's pretty good, 90% survival.
Right, but what if you describe treatment B as having a 10% mortality rate?
Ooh, mortality rate sounds bad. Even
Totally.
though, wait, it's the exact same outcome as 90% survival.
Precisely. 90% survival is mathematically identical to 10% mortality. But framing it in terms of survival, again, makes it appealing, while framing it in terms of mortality, a loss, makes people shy away. The frame changes everything.
That's incredible, just the wording.
It's incredibly powerful, and it makes you think, how often are choices being framed for us in ways that nudge our decisions in advertising and politics, even in everyday conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. You start seeing it everywhere once you look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for our final section, let's delve into something Kahneman explores that really hits home regarding happiness and memory. This idea of our two selves.
Ah, yes. The experiencing self and the remembering self. This is quite profound.
So break that down for us. Experiencing versus remembering.
Okay, the experiencing self is, well, it's you living your life moment by moment. It's the stream of consciousness, the actual feelings and sensations you have as they happen.
Okay, the present moment self.
Right. The remembering self, on the other hand, is the storyteller after the fact. It's the part of you that looks back, evaluates the experience, constructs a memory, and decides whether it was good or bad overall.
So one lives it, the other judges it later.
Pretty much. And here's the kicker. The remembering self is often the one calling the shots for future decisions. What we remember about an experience, not necessarily what we experienced moment to moment, dictates whether we want to do it again.
How does that work? That seems counterintuitive.
It is. Kahneman demonstrates this brilliantly with the peak end rule. Think about this experiment. People had to put their hand in painfully cold water.
Okay, sounds unpleasant.
Definitely. In one condition, they kept it there for 60 seconds straight. Painful. In another condition, they kept it there for the same 60 seconds, plus an additional 30 seconds where the water was made slightly warmer, but still uncomfortably cold.
So the second condition is longer and still painful, just slightly less so at the very end.
Exactly. Longer duration of pain overall. Now, afterwards, they were asked which trial they would prefer to repeat.
Logically, you'd choose the shorter one, right? Less total time and pain.
That's what the experiencing self would prefer. But what happened? Most people chose to repeat the longer trial.
The longer one, why?
Because of the peak end rule. The remembering self doesn't really care about the duration. It focuses on two things. The moment of peak intensity, how bad was the worst part, and how the experience ended, since the longer trial ended on a slightly less painful note.
Aha. The remembering self gave it a better overall score, even though it involved more total pain.
Exactly. It's the memory shaped by the peak and the end that drives the choice, not the sum total of the experience.
That is just mind-blowing. And it led Kahneman to this incredible conclusion, right? About choosing memories.
Yeah, it's a powerful quote. We do not choose between experiences. We choose between memories of experiences. Even when we think about the future, we do not think of our future normally as experiences. We think of our future as anticipated memories.
We choose between memories. Wow. Just pause and think about that for a second. How does knowing this distinction, this difference between living it and remembering it, maybe change how you think about your own happiness or how you plan things?
It really makes you reconsider what makes an experience good, doesn't it? Is it the moment-to-moment stuff or the story you tell yourself later?
Okay, that was a lot. Maybe we should quickly recap some of those key terms and experiments just to lock them in.
Good idea. So we had anchoring, remember the Wheel of Fortune affecting guesses about UN nations, that first number sticking?
Right. Then the availability heuristic.
Yep, the K-words example, or how easily plane crash examples come to mind after news coverage, skewing our sense of risk.
Got it. And loss aversion.
That's the coin flip gamble. Losing $100 hurts more than gaining $150 feels good. Losses loom larger.
Substitution.
Answering an easier question like, how's my mood right now, instead of, how happy is my life overall?
Okay. And finally, the peak end rule.
From the cold water experiment. Our memory of an event is dominated by the most intense moment, the peak, and the very end, not the duration.
Brilliant. These concepts really do give you a lens, don't they? A way to sort of watch yourself think.
That's a great way to put it.
So our whole aim today really was to give you a kind of shortcut to understanding these hidden mechanics of your own mind based on Kahneman's incredible work.
And it ties into his broader view of intelligence, too. He said, intelligence is not only the ability to reason, it is also the ability to find relevant material in memory and to deploy attention when needed. It's about managing these mental systems effectively.
So the encouragement for you listening is maybe just to start noticing. Observe your own thinking, your own decision-making. Can you spot system one taking over? Can you see these heuristics playing out?
Yeah, just pay attention. And maybe next time you face a tricky decision or you get a really strong gut feeling about something, just pause for a second.
Take a breath.
Ask yourself, which system is driving this? Is it fast system one or effortful system two? And could my lazy system two maybe use a little nudge here?
A nudge to dig a bit deeper, question that first instinct.
Exactly. Just to double check before you commit. It might lead to an even better choice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into thinking fast and slow. We really hope these insights from Daniel Kahneman feel empowering for you.
Absolutely. Happy thinking.